Hi, my name's Evan, and you're getting another Robe episode because it's late and I had a long day of nothing. I did nothing. I did schoolwork and played Fortnite. And I watched episode 7 of Star Wars, The Force Awakens, the one where you're introduced to Rey and Kylo. It's essentially the first of the sequel trilogy. And I want to discuss my feelings on the sequel trilogy because I feel like it's an important conversation to have. Because as a Star Wars fan, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was like a wee little tadpole. When I was a kid, I used to watch Clone Wars weekly as it released on cable television. Yeah, I'm old. I know. Thanks for reminding me. But I've always loved Star Wars since the very beginning. I didn't start on the movies though. I started with Clone Wars. Of course, I probably watched the movies at some point before then, but I was still a little homunculus, so I didn't exactly archive the information of the movies in my head. So Clone Wars is what really got me my love for the franchise, right? And into the modern day, there's a lot of Star Wars media. There's a ton. I mean, of course, since Disney acquired the patent for Star Wars, they've just been literally throwing shit at the wall until some of it sticks. And like examples of that, like The Acolyte, that show, there are some things in that show that it's so this dumbass meme earlier was like, y'all got good writing, and then AI responding like, nah, we got hype moments and aura, and the guy's like, because yeah, Acolyte has some really cool things, but the show is written like a chimpanzee was given a typewriter and told to just try and make something and try its best, and had an AI proofread it. Like, it wasn't that good. But then we have Andor, which is some of the greatest Star Wars media I've ever watched, ever. I would say Andor as media, it is a little. And for those of you that aren't aware of what it is, and first of all, go watch it if you haven't. But what it is essentially takes place in between, like, kind of in between the prequels and the original trilogy. The whole idea is it leads into Rogue One, which also, what I would argue, is some of the best Star Wars I've ever watched. I love the espionage and like the way that Star Wars mirrors politics. We talked about it in a different video, though. That's not what we're here for. Sequel movies. So there's something about the sequels that doesn't necessarily make me angry. It makes me angry to a certain extent, but being realistic, the emotions that I feel, if I were to put it into a better description, it's disappointment. It's disappointment, because the thing is, like, there are so many things in the sequels that are like, yeah, I see what you're doing and I see how this could be really cool. I like Rey. I think Rey's a cool character. Finn was horribly disrespected by that trilogy. There's so many interesting concepts, and instead of taking those concepts and doing anything with them, they just monkeys on typewriter that bitch. They didn't do much. I mean, not to mention Palpatine returning in the final movie of that trilogy. That wasn't even pissing on the trilogy. That was piss straight into my mouth, and that tastes yucky. Like the whole idea that the first 6 movies are all about Palpatine versus Skywalker, and he brings one of the Skywalkers to the bad side, and then the other Skywalker, he's like, "Oh, you'll come join the bad side," and he's like, "Nah, lol." And then both the Skywalkers team up, take Palpatine out. It's all yummy, yummy, handy dandy. A bunch of teddy bears dance in the forest somewhere. You call it a day, right? Like bow tie on that. And then we have a new trilogy where all of that work didn't matter. And then all of a sudden, he's back again, which means that Anakin's sacrifice that spent 6 movies building up was worthless. It meant nothing. Wow. Like, and that's why I have a buddy who really likes Star Wars, but he doesn't like the Force side of Star Wars. He doesn't like the magic. I do personally. I think it's really cool that it's like almost the incarnation of faith. But if there was actual solid evidence that it existed, which I think is cool, but I can see how it's like it doesn't make sense. The sequel movies don't make sense. And the thing is, that's crazy because they have so much material that they could have worked with that would have been amazing. Like, with the Force Awakens, if anything, as a movie, isn't that bad. It's not great, but I would say it's written better than some of the prequel movies because of the fact that if you actually pay attention to the sequel, if you pay attention to Force Awakens when you watch it, if you watch it ever again, watch with the pure intent of recognizing it is A New Hope. It is the first Star Wars movie, or episode 4 technically, but it's A New Hope reskinned with all of the same plot lines, all of it. Literally, pay attention. The movie starts with a giant Imperial ship flying into the sea. That light just blinked at me. The middle one did, like that one right there. That there are creatures watching me from a different ethereal realm. I think Jedi might be in here. Anyway, I think he disagreed with me, or agreed with me. It was a white light. Maybe that means good. what was I saying? Okay, starts ship flying into the scene. A New Hope. Wow, that's the opening. Then we have the Empire doing their Empire things, and then literally bar for bar, Kylo comes down, kills all the other people, but saves one of them and interrogates him and chokes him. And then he doesn't give him the information he wants, so he kills him. Oh no, what's gonna happen? Well, then our semi-main character, Poe Dameron gets brought in, and he tries to fight back, sort of, but doesn't really. And so they take him in, and he's a prisoner now. And then they figure out the information, that he put information into a droid, not R2D2 though, BB-8. So then there's information on a droid with very important details that are necessary that the Empire wants, but the Rebellion needs. And then etc., etc., etc. We're then introduced to a random new character on a sandy planet in the middle of nowhere. Wow, but not Tatooine. This time it's Jakku. And then the Empire comes down. Then our main character finds a droid that has these plans on him. That's crazy. Like how Luke found R2D2. It's the same thing. It's all the same stuff. I'm not gonna go through the whole movie, but like bar for bar for bar, Force Awakens is A New Hope. And so, like, that's why I'm saying the movie isn't bad, because A New Hope is good. So this movie is good inherently. I would say they cut out some of the good parts. Some of it doesn't make sense. Rey, I feel, was at a disservice in that movie, because they treat her like almost like a Mary Sue, you know? Like, they every character that wrongs Rey has something horrible happen to them. And it's like, what is the Force dick riding Rey? Like, what does that mean exactly? Although, there's one thing that my friend explained to me recently that made me hate the sequels a little less. And hate's a strong word, dislike the sequels a little less. And it was, I always got mad at the fact that Luke turned on Kylo. Kylo is the main bad guy, basically. It's like our new Darth Vader. Turned on Kylo, who is Han Solo's son and Luke's Padawan, basically. He turned on Kylo because he had a bad dream about him, which blew my freaking mind, because I was like, why would Luke, the character whose entire character arc been about seeing the good in people, to the point that he didn't engage in a battle with his father who was trying to kill him because he thought that he wanted to be good. I mean, he did engage in a battle, but like, you know, like he didn't go full dark side on him. And then all of a sudden he tries to kill a kid in his sleep because he had a boo-boo nightmare, bro. What are you doing? Are you on fentanyl? But no, that's not what's it. My friend explained a very important point that Luke actually talks about in a later movie, where he's like, the balance in the Force doesn't mean only good guys. It means that Sith and Jedi need to exist at the same time. So the whole idea was, since the Sith were gone and Luke was training a bunch of Jedi, that means that someone was bound to change. Something was bound to happen. And then he had the bad dream, made the connection, freaked the hell out, and then he tried to kill Ben or Kylo, and then secluded himself on an island in the middle of nowhere. Like, that story makes sense. I see what they're doing now. Like, after taking some time and using context clues, because I'm a little bit of an idiot, I get it. But at the same time, why the fuck did you bring Palpatine back? Why the fuck is Rey a Palpatine? What are you doing? Why didn't you keep Rey a nobody? Why didn't you keep... We didn't need to make it all like Star Wars again. You didn't need to recopy the first 3 movies bar for bar. Like, my God. It's just so disappointing. And the thing is, I have a feeling that it, in time, will come to accept the sequels more. I know that's a crazy take, but like the prequels, they were garbage when they first came out. People hated them. They did not like them at all. There were good parts, just like how the sequels have good parts, but they didn't like their addition to the story. Then we got Clone Wars, which gave us a reason to care for the characters in the prequel movies, as well as make connections between the prequel and the original trilogy, which gave us more nostalgia. It fed on nostalgia, gave it more of a vibe. You know what I'm saying? And so maybe over time, if we get media that feeds into the growth of the First Order, how the Republic failed, because it makes sense. The Republic lasted longer than the Empire, so like they did technically win. I would have loved to see more of the Republic, but still, seeing how the Republic failed, seeing how the First Order came to power, seeing how that all makes sense and putting the pieces together, I'd like that. Like, we need a Clone Wars between the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy. That would fix a lot. It wouldn't fix how bad the writing is in the sequel trilogy, but it would still fix some of it. It would make it a little, like, it would make that meal taste a little better, you know? At the bare minimum. Sorry, and speaking of meals, I just burped. I ate some Cane's chicken fingers earlier. That shit was bussin' on God, for real, no cap. Anyway, my disappointment with the sequel movies is purely due to the fact that I wish they did better. I would have loved for them to do better, because the thing is, I love Star Wars. And I see Andor, as I said, some of the best Star Wars media we've gotten in ever. Like even the Clone Wars, I watched it as a kid, so to a certain extent it panders to a younger audience, but it's still peak. It's still outstanding. And so Andor takes that and puts it on in my adult audience brain mode version episode variant, and that shit bangs. It's so good. I like the way that Andor. I will go on a side tangent because I really want to. Wraps like the oppressive government side of the Empire into things. You know, it shows how the Empire wasn't just big bad guys with red lightsabers. It was a government, and it gives us a reason to hate the Empire instead of just being like, those guys have the bad lightsabers, so that means they need to not be in power. Like, we're like, no, this government was destroying wildlife. It was genociding. I can't say that word. It was It was ending the life of many people on a planet. I already said the word. I don't know why I'm skipping around the bush. I'm skipping around the bush. Fucking hop, skip, and a jump. It gives you a reason to hate the Empire, and I think that's really cool. And if we could get a show as well written as Andor that connects the dots between the original trilogy and the sequels, perhaps maybe the sequels won't be as hated. I don't know if that's a hot take, but also Star Wars fans are just there's a lot of, to be fair, Star Wars is inherently a pretty dorky thing. Like people who like Star Wars, and I'm not afraid to admit it, I'm a bit of a dork, are pretty dorky, and so there are a lot of within that genre of people, incels, and incels will see a woman and be like, bro, what the freak, dude, women. But that's not the case, because I don't think Rey is a bad character because of the fact that she's a woman. She could be a great character and still be a woman. I think that Rey is a poorly written character that had a lot of potential that wasn't delved into. Adding on to that, another character that didn't get really delved into, and this is a long video, so apologies. Finn, bro. Finn, that character that's a stormtrooper that turned to the good side. We need more of that. We need to hear more of that. Like, there's a thing in the third movie where Finn gets this, like, he gets repercussion. He gets, reprimanded for being like, hey, you need to recognize war is bad. He's the only person in that roster of characters that would understand that to the highest degree. Why? If anything, Finn should be the one reprimanding other people on how horrible war is. Now, you should take it seriously, because Poe didn't take it seriously. Our Han Solo didn't take it seriously, like Poe being our like next Han Solo type thing. It's just there was so much potential. Finn would have been an awesome Jedi too. Like, I also think that Rey shouldn't have survived the final movie. That's not a me not liking Rey thing. I just think that the whole idea was like Rey and Kylo, which if you haven't seen the movie, apologies, you've had a decade. Rey and Kylo do their thing. Kylo becomes a good guy. Kylo dies. Rey survives, and then what? And then what? Nothing. The movie's over. She says she's a Skywalker. That's it. When it could have been that Rey and Kylo have this thing. Rey ends up being sacrificed, which would be a great way to wrap her character up and make her kind of like go from this Mary Sue who gets everything she wants to having to sacrifice something for a cause. And then Kylo has to live with not only having the only person that ever had a true connection with him dying, but also having to utilize that grief to either A, go into hiding like Luke, which would suck, I wouldn't like that, or B, use that grief to build off of it and become that better person and then build a new Jedi Order around that. Also because I just love Kylo Ren's actor. I'm forgetting his name right now, it's slipping my mind. But, like, there was so much potential. There was so much potential, and they didn't take it. They didn't take it at all. Also, not to mention, Kylo's an actual Skywalker, which would have made the rise of Skywalker make more sense. But anyway, that's about it. I'm going to stop talking now. I just wanted to yap about this. I hope you enjoyed this very, very emotional yap. I'm so emotional. Look at there's like a tear running down my eye, my leg, everywhere. Anyways, thank you for watching. I'm going to get out of here for now because it's late. This is probably the longest video I've ever put on this channel. So if you've managed to watch all the way through this, all one or two of you at this point, thank you. You're outstanding. And let me know your thoughts on this in the comments, because I'll read them. I might not respond. I don't usually respond on this channel because it's a lot of effort to get through all comments, but check it out. I'll try. Anyway, thank you. My name is Evan. This robe is freaking cozy. Don't look at my chest. That's weird. Bye.